Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to make a very classic Christmas card. I've got an old school Stampin' Up! Embossing folder. It's just like a 3D embossing folder. And then I've already hot foiled in some gold Spellbinders hot foil using the Poinsettia October 22 Glimmer of the Month. I just thought I didn't really get to showcase this last year, so I thought I'd do that this year. So I have some colours of alcohol markers. I'm using Copic markers here, and I've just picked a couple of reds, a couple of greens, and a sort of richer yellow colour. And between those colours, I'm just going to very gently, or very carefully I should say, colour the images in. Now, although you can, I believe, go over the foil, I would be a little more careful and just kind of try and stay in the lines. It's kind of like going back to when we were kids and having to colour in the lines. So that's what I would do, is just try and stick with that so that you don't cause any damage to the foil. Although I don't think that there would be a problem. It's just that the alcohol markers, because they're a permanent marker, they would just kind of colour over the foil and possibly just discolour it. If you're using something like, if you've heat embossed an image, then I wouldn't suggest using alcohol markers, because it tends to does something weird to the embossing powder, the heated embossing powder, so or the heat set embossing powder. So I wouldn't use it over an embossed image, although if you go super careful you may be able to get away with it. But for me, I think the best thing with this was that it just opened up so many opportunities to not only hot foil your images, but also the different ways that you can colour things in and colour your hot foil images in. So at the moment I'm just using a couple of reds. I think I've got R37 and R35 for the sort of darker shades of red, and just using the dark shade and then using the lighter shade over the top. I don't do anything too technical when it comes to colouring. Sorry, lost my train of thought. I don't do anything too technical. There are some amazing colourists out there who do fantastic things with Copic markers and alcohol markers, but I am not one of them. So I do very simple colouring when I colour in with alcohol markers. The better thing for me is once I'm putting the whole thing together. So although I love colouring and I think it's good therapy for a lot of us, it's not, some days I'm just not in the mood for it. So I need it to be super simple. But this turned out really nicely. I won't make you sit through all of the colouring because it's quite a large image. But I will go through the different colours that I've used. So I've done the poinsettia and the two shades, the darker shades of red. And now I'm going to take the sort of more pinky red, which is R22 and still R35. So I'm overlapping those colours so that I don't have to have so many different shades of reds or greens or whatever it is. So for the reds, I've just taken another lighter shade and I'm using the two, like the medium if you like, and the lighter one on these sort of, I don't know what these flowers are, but they're a different shaped flower. So that's all I've done with the sort of lighter reds. And then for these, the centres, I'm going to use this sort of, it's kind of like a honey yellow. It had like a golden, it's not shimmery or anything, but it had like this golden tone to it. So I decided to, and I dropped my marker on those berries. Don't worry, we'll fix it. And I just thought that yellow had kind of a golden shade to it, so I thought it was quite nice for a sort of the sort of more muted tones that you'd have at Christmas, or in particular for this card that I'm doing. And the same with the greens. I've got a couple of greens here. Sorry, I don't know the colours because I didn't write these ones down. But they're two sort of more muted, I suppose rich rather than bright greens. And again, I've got a lighter and a darker one. I think these are the 80s. I think it's 85 and 82 maybe. G85 and G82. But don't get too hung up on the names of the colors. You may not have Copic markers. You may have Big Market markers. You might have Sharpie markers. You might have, Olo markers, or, another brand out there, the Tonic markers. So pick the colors that work best together, like 2 shades. If you look at them and you go, yeah, I like those 2 together, then that's what you go with. Don't get too hung up on like numbers and stuff. This is just for anybody who does have Copics. This might give you a bit of an idea as to what shades to use. And with the green, I actually went back and forth a couple times. I went the darker color, then used the lighter one, and then actually go back afterwards. I don't think I did it in the on camera, but I then go back afterwards and add a bit more of the deeper color just to sort of blend it in. So I've done all the colouring, so I'm just going to show you that now, and doesn't that look stunning? Especially with all that foiling, and it's the first time I've done that, so I was really, really chuffed. And then I'm just going to put the card together. I mean, this is a really easy card. Spellbinders, as always, bring their A game when it comes to dies and hot foiling and all that sort of thing, and they actually have the coordinating die for this particular hot foil set. Most of them do, which I'm really chuffed about, because that's sometimes, it's just a nice added touch if you've got a coordinating die that will cut out the hot foiled image, a bit like you would for your stamped images. And I have a standard A2 size card here that I'm going to stick the embossed panel to, and I think it was called Cable Knit, for anybody who's still got that, or something like it. It just made the most sense for me for this card, so I ran with it. When I'm looking at it now, I'm thinking that looks like it's upside down, so maybe, yeah, doesn't matter. So on the back of the main image, I've added some foam, and quite a lot of it, as you can see, and then I've also added some adhesive, like wet adhesive, to the back of that, so that I can not only be able to shimmy it just into place, but also when you're going on to, or trying to stick something to an embossed piece, a wet adhesive is just going to hold better. So even if you've got some foam on the back to sort of raise it up, just add a bit of wet glue to that, and it'll just help bond it much better to that sort of bumpy raised area. And then for the sentiment, again, it's out of that same poinsettia set. I'm just taking the Winter Wishes one, which again came with coordinating dies. I love that, especially for sentiments. And so I just popped that straight flat onto the embossed back panel, and I just used some wet glue for that, again, just to help bond it with the bumpiness of the embossing folder. So that's basically it, guys. It's a very simple, I think quite a classically, I think my husband said it was kind of like an old-fashioned card, or sort of something you might have seen in like the 80s or something like that, but I just thought it was really pretty, and I really wanted to use that glimmer die and set from, I know it's from October 22, but I still think it's a beautiful set to have. So I hope you've enjoyed this, guys, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.